You get back up again? In life, we all fall down at times. We first experience this as toddlers when we attempt to take our first steps in life. Our initial failed attempt to walk is met with smiles and nothing more than possibly a slightly bruised bum. We do not give up. We keep trying because at that early age we realize that falling down is a process on our way to standing up. Unfortunately, this perception of us falling down changes as we mature into adulthood. It's no longer our bums that are bruised when we fall down, but our egos. We see falling down as something to be embarrassed about, something to be scorned on. We hide our falls for fear of being seen as less than we are and beat ourselves up over the errors of judgment that led to them. Here is the reality of life. We all fall down at times. It doesn't matter who you are, we all have times when aspects of our life are in disarray. This is true of the great leaders in the world and the everyday person. It is nothing to be ashamed of. There is nothing wrong. It's a normal part of life. The only time when falling down in life will cause you a real problem is when you stay down and you make it even worse by getting down. When you get down, you look up at the world instead of looking in the world. Thus, you cannot see your place in the world. And even if you do, you may not feel you are worthy or confident enough to claim it. There may be times when you have a bad day. You may have eaten foods or snacks you know you should not have eaten, or not exercised when you plan to. Don't allow these times to get you down. It happens to the best of us. Just pick yourself up and say, tomorrow I will do better. You may fall down at times, however, do not stay down or get down. Get back up again, wipe yourself off, brush off any self-pity, and view the experience as character building.
Good evening, and welcome to this week's edition of Make Health Your Habit Live. Whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you're watching it on Facebook, or whether you're watching on LinkedIn, it's great to be with you today on the first Monday of the second lockdown in the UK. Yeah, it's a second lockdown. Can you believe that? You know, I have to say there's something a little bit different about this lockdown. I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know if you feel the same way, but for me, I think there's something a little bit different about this lockdown. If you're watching as normal, please say hello. I'd like to know who's out there in the line. Just say hello. Just helps to make me feel loved and my guests to feel loved. So if you're in the chat, either on Facebook or YouTube, just say hello as normal. We'd like to know who's watching us. Now, you know, I normally talk about what's in the news, but really there's been nothing really prominent in the news besides the election in the US, and like it or loathe it. Good evening, Mr. Craval. Bonsoir to you, sir. Good to know you're joining us today. I hope you're well. I hope you had a great day today on the first day of the lockdown. Great to see you. Let me just again thank my guests from last week, who we had a great men's room chat. I mean, we had so many great comments from that show. It was real, it was open, and I really enjoyed it. So thank you once again, Paul, Lawrence, Rudy Lookid, and DJ Mr. P for your openness and honesty in the show last week. So yes, I was talking about the US elections. So I don't know how that affects your health, unless it affects your stress, unless you're one of the people who just really wanted Donald Trump out, and you might have got really stressed in the week. So that's the only way it could have really affected your health. I mean, today there's been a lot of news about the vaccine for COVID. Now, I know that split so many people about whether or not they're going to take the vaccine for COVID, or whether or not they are not, or whether or not it's a conspiracy. I have my own personal thoughts about the vaccine and, you know, COVID and coronavirus. And as I always like to say to you, look, we can't control if the virus gets near us. We can't control if someone has got the virus and comes near to us. We can't control if we contract the virus, really, because it can come from anywhere. But what we can control is our body's ability to be able to deal with it if we contract coronavirus. And this is what this show and the show on Wednesday, Lean Bites Live, is all about. It's about proactive health here. And I'm so grateful to have a guest on the show whose thinking is totally in line with me and from the UK, because when I started my journey about 4 years ago, I couldn't really find anyone in the UK who had a similar kind of voice to what I had. I was like a lone soldier, and considering the market that I was aiming at predominantly, not exclusively, which was people of Caribbean and people of African and Caribbean descent, it felt like I was trying to move a mountain to try to allow them to understand how a shift in their diet could make so much difference to their weight and their health. And it was such a pleasure when I found my guest today. And I said, once I found her, I thought I need to get her on this show so what she could actually share with you some of the things that I have experienced and some of the benefits she's experienced by living the lifestyle that I live. So, if you have any questions throughout the show, please feel free to put them in the chat as normal, because we want to make the show interactive. So I think it's about time. I think without further ado, let me just bring on my guest to share her thoughts with you. Good evening, Christine.
Hi.
Good evening, Christine.
Hi, how you doing?
Very well, thank you. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I came across you on Instagram, and my daughter came across you as well. And it was my daughter.
Nice.
Good evening, Mr. P. Thank you very, very much. As always, a regular listener and contributor to the show. And my daughter, I said, I found this person. She said, no, she's got a really nice page. She really does some great food. You must reach out to her, Dad. That's what she said. So that's when I reached out to you. To my surprise, you were based in the UK, which is absolutely fantastic. So we're going to have a chat. We're going to talk. But firstly, just allow the audience to understand a little bit about you and your journey to where you are now. So, yes, Chrissy, the floor is yours. Just tell us a little bit about you and where you come, how you come to where you are now.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Christine. I've been on a keto diet for a while now, actually, and I've been on a weight loss journey for probably all of my adult life, like most of us have been. And I've really embarked on the keto journey, spent a lot of time researching and looking at how I can make the meals that I usually eat more keto, low carb friendly, because that's always been the challenge, is how can I actually make the food that I eat, the food that I like, doable and in a diet that actually allows me to lose weight. So I've spent a lot of time focusing on that and trying to create a platform that people like myself can actually go onto and get ideas about different low carb Caribbean, Afro-Caribbean food. So that's a summary of what I've been doing recently with my brand. So yeah.
So Chrissy, tell me why Black people keto?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So I get this question quite a lot, actually.
Yes.
And for me, the best way I can explain this is when I was looking for ideas around the keto diet, around low carb diet, I was always looking for anything that's relating to Black people. So I know a lot of us, when you do like a Google search, you'll be this, and that for Black people, or this, and that for Black people. There's always that for Black people added on to the end. And no matter how much I looked, I couldn't find someone, one, in the UK, and two, a page that actually shows the food that we eat. So I thought to myself, do you know what? I can't see this anywhere. I'm just going to make it myself. I'm just going to do it myself and see how it goes and see what really happens. Really, it started off as my own personal journey of creating these foods and meals and dishes, but it quickly became a page that a lot of people respond well to. And I say to my friends all the time that this page is no longer about me. It's about what I can do for everyone else to make keto and low carb diets accessible and easy and transferable from the foods that they currently eat. So it's one of those things where the name literally came from a search, like when you search and you're trying to find things for Black people, it says what it does in the tin, really. So yeah, that's how it came about.
I think that's great. I mean, myself, I have a strong focus on Caribbean low carb food as well. And that's why I was really excited to be able to speak to you. My journey just simply came out of, I was a health coach, and, you know, I was trying to allow my mum to lose weight when she was alive, and I couldn't really do it. I mean, she was nearly 80, and she was used to eating a certain type of food, and to get her to switch was incredibly difficult. And unfortunately, I only found out about how the low carb keto world after her death to any great detail. But I'm convinced, had I understood what I know now, I could have at least prolonged her life. I would have been able to get her to lose weight. So this is why I'm as passionate as you about, you know, Caribbean, keto and low carb, and just allowing, you know, people of African and Caribbean descent to understand, look, you don't have to lose taste. You really don't have to lose taste, and you can eat some delicious foods with that Caribbean, African leaning. And I'm sure that's what you're passionate about as well.
Yeah,
and
100%.
Absolutely. And what I'm going to do, I just want you to I'm going to go, I've taken a few of your pictures from your Instagram. I just want to talk us through a few of them. So let's just go to your page. So let's talk us through. So this first one here, what is this dish here?
So I'm actually from Guyana in South America. And for those of you who know, like, Guyanese people, we have Guyanese people are Black, Asian, and all in between, mainly Black and Asian, really. So a lot of our meals have that Asian feel to it. So you'll see us eating stuff like what's on the screen right now, like curry chicken and roti. Now this is something that it's so heavy in carbs in the original recipe. It's trying to find a way to make this doable, and a way to make it something I can take to my mum, for instance, and she can actually eat it, and she did. So I was quite pleased by that. Got a sign off. So this is this is curry chicken and roti, and one of the things that I've done here is I've replaced, for example, potatoes with avocado.
Yes.
Because as some people might know, with keto, it's all about having high fats, moderate protein, and just low carbs in general. Yes. So with my idea is that with potatoes, if you really think about it, it doesn't have a strong taste, but it has a consistency that is needed, like in a dish like curry chicken. So what I did was, if you can see it in the picture, I used quite solid pieces of avocado and cooked it within the curry for a long period of time to soften it up. And that gives it that consistency. But then you'll see the rotis. What I've done is I've done two versions of the roti now. One was a protein wrap that I've literally fried on like a roti frying pan, just to kind of make it like this way to do it, which is just as easy. And the other one I've made from scratch.
Is this the protein? Is this one here the protein wrap?
So can you see there's two roti? The one on top is the protein wrap. Yeah. Okay. So the one on top is the protein wrap, and the one underneath it is the one that I made from scratch.
Which one tastes better?
So the one I made from scratch.
Okay. Great. Yeah.
The reason why I did both of them as well is it was almost like a play on the view as well, because the one that the protein wrap looks the closest to a roti, to a normal roti. It actually looks like it, but the one I made looks more like a I forgot what it's called. It's like a bread. It looks more like, but it actually has the consistency of roti, and you'll use that with your hands and scoop up the curry, scoop up the avocado, scoop up the chicken.
Did you use psyllium husk in the one you made from scratch?
Yep.
Good.
That's what I used. Yeah. That with some xanthan gum.
Yeah, and xanthan gum, absolutely. Just to thick it and getting that glue. You know, that gluten feel to hold it together, because flour has gluten, and that's the thing that holds it together. So xanthan gum gives it that gluey thing that holds it together. But you can't use too much of it because it gets a bit. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We did have a question. First of all, I think you have a fellow Guyana on the line. Dunstan just said, you know, Guyana forever. So you've got someone rooting for you. and before we move on to the next question. Next picture, we did have a question. Could you just let them know what keto is in essence? Because that's what the question came in from Mr. P.
Yeah, so keto is a particular diet type. It's very similar to just like a low carb diet, but it focuses really around having high fats and moderate proteins and low carbs. Now, you'll probably eat between 20 to 30 grams of carbs in a keto diet. And there's also three versions of keto. So there is a clean keto diet where you literally monitor and track every single macro that you consume. So you can use that within an app. There's lazy keto where the focus is around making sure that what you eat is within the carb grams per day, and that your fat is just higher than your protein. Or there's dirty keto. Now, dirty keto is like, for example, if you was to eat things like McDonald's or KFC, but you make them fit into your actual macro count, so your carbs are still low. All three types of keto still work. You will still lose weight, but everyone has a different preference on the type of keto that they do. I personally do lazy keto predominantly, and might, for example, if I have a treat meal, it will be either dirty keto or just a treat meal in itself. But lazy keto is what I do because I find it more of an easier task to keep up on a day-to-day basis with a busy work life and having like a full-time job. And I know a lot of people that have like children and other commitments, that it makes it difficult to do something like a clean keto where you have to track every single last thing. But also the fact that with keto, the normal keto that you will see if you go onto like most websites or books and whatnot, they don't really account for the type of foods that we eat or season that we eat, or even some of the weight loss apps that we have don't account for those type of foods. Like you can't type in Guyanese curry chicken and get the right macros on I won't say any of the names, but any of those fitness apps. So what lazy keto does, it gives you that option to, as long as you know, for example, that your fats are high. Now fats could be avocado oils or whatever it is, to make it higher than your protein, so you don't eat too much protein, but you keep your carb count within the 20 to 30 grams, then you're going to be in ketosis. And ketosis, maybe I should explain that as well. Ketosis is the process where your body actually uses fat cells as its source of its energy. So mainly, for example, we will use carbohydrates. Now, what I'm about to say, I know some people won't agree to, but I honestly believe I'm allergic to carbs. I don't think carbs work with me. I don't think I'm designed to consume carbs.
Can we go into ketosis? Let's go into ketosis in a moment. I have to say, I am very against keto police. I think people can be very pedantic. Yeah. And me personally, I don't necessarily use the lazy or dirty because I think it puts people off. I think if you feel you're doing dirty, you're really doing something wrong. I mean, the way I work, it's either, a low ketogenic diet, which is below 30 grams, and it's net carbohydrates. And we could possibly talk about that in a moment. And then we have below 50 grams, and then we have, a moderate keto. Then we have just a moderate ketogenic diet, because you can get into ketosis under 50, and then it's under 90. I just stay away from that. I'm not saying you're not to use it, but I know a lot of people do use it because I think the lazy and the dirty, it just makes it sound absolutely fantastic. Great explanation. Let's just go back to your beautiful dishes and let's see what the next one is. So this one here, just run us through this one here, please.
So this is literally I think this one was eggs and bacon or eggs and ham beaten up and baked in like a muffin tray in the oven for about 10 minutes. And I had some leftover pepperoni, and I hate wasting food, so I literally fried some pepperoni.
Yes, that's right.
Laid it out on the plate, and
looks beautiful. Looks absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this fits into keto. This fits into the macros of keto.
Is this like a puff? You made it like a puff cheese.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And this would be
cheese and eggs.
Would this be a breakfast or would it be a lunch?
Yeah.
A breakfast.
Well, it would be a breakfast, but I'm someone, I don't really believe in like breakfast, lunch.
Okay.
Food is food. You eat, but technically people would class this as being breakfast. Yeah.
Okay, I understand. I mean, I will say to the people I work with, eat when you're hungry until you're full. Don't necessarily subscribe to the 3 meals a day. I don't normally eat breakfast anyway. We could talk about fasting possibly a little bit later on. So here's another meal. So how this one here looks absolutely delicious. You have to run us through this one here now. Go on. What is in this meal here?
Thank you. So this one here is literally pork ribs. I know some people don't really eat pork.
Okay, but, that's up to them. I will have their share. I will say it publicly. I will have your share. All right? Go ahead.
Yeah, so these are pork ribs, barbecue ribs, with seasoned avocado and stem broccoli. Now with the barbecue, what I do
Okay.
is I like to, well, in general, when it comes to meat, I season my meat overnight,
Okay.
and I use soy sauce in my
Okay.
seasoning. You can
Yeah.
get low sugar soy sauce, and
Yes.
it gives it that color and that flavoring as well. Sometimes people use like browning, but sometimes with browning you
Yeah.
get too much carbs in that.
Yeah.
We want to stay away from
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
So season the pork ribs overnight, and then what I do is I'll bake it in the oven, and then once it gets to the point where it's almost, I'll say about 70% cooked, I start to layer it with the barbecue sauce. Like
Yes.
every 5 minutes, I'm
Okay.
layering it,
Yeah.
and that's what creates that color and that
That,
consistency. Where it's not
and that
one
kind of
coat.
glaze. That kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
glaze. That's
yeah.
looks
You
good.
have to
Lovely.
layer
And,
it. You have to layer
and
it.
what do you season the avocado with? I can see because it doesn't
Yeah.
actually look like avocado. And what do you season that with there in that
So
picture?
avocado is literally all-purpose seasoning, black pepper, and a sprinkle of chili flakes. Literally that.
Okay. And you just kind of stir fried it a little bit, yeah,
No,
or
I
just
just
baked
like I
it.
do like half avocado and just
Okay.
mashed it up with a fork in a bowl, literally.
Great. Yes.
You can bake it if you like to, but
Absolutely.
for me it's quick and easy. Most of my meals I try to cook under like 45 minutes really. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So Mr. P says that the food looks good and tasty. That's what he's paying you a compliment there.
Thank you.
And I know he loves his food. I know Mr. P loves his food, from what I gather. All right, and I really, this is real and important because I think that there are two things when it comes to food. One is about the aesthetics of food, how
Yeah.
it looks on the plate, because we eat with our eyes, and secondly, how it tastes. And this is one of the reasons why some people don't want to change the diet. And a lot of people may look at this food and think, well, how can I lose weight by eating this kind of
Eating
food?
that.
But you absolutely can. You absolutely can. Okay, so let's go to the other one here. So this one people might recognize, but just run us through this, please, Christine.
Yeah. So this is simply a baked chicken drumstick.
Okay.
This one's baked, seasoned with all-purpose black pepper, garlic powder, with cauliflower rice as we call it, but it's really just cauliflower, steamed cauliflower.
So just for the orders, how you've turned the cauliflower into cauliflower rice, and just basically what did you do? Did you grate it or did you? But how did they do it?
You have two options. You can literally make it from actual cauliflower itself. So you can grate it, boil it for about 5 to 10 minutes. It doesn't take too long to boil it, and then strain it because cauliflower does spring a lot of water. So you can strain it, add some salt to it as well. You can actually buy cauliflower rice already pre-made and just put it in the pot. I like to add butter sometimes to my cauliflower just to give it a little bit more flavor. And with that comes along with buttered spinach. And the reason why I add butter just to kind of increase the fats in there because you always with keto you want to have high fats.
And with cauliflower, we'll go into that fat in a moment, definitely.
Yeah. With cauliflower, that portion itself is probably no more than 20 calories, if that really. And then you add on the calories of the butter, and then you've got a low calorie, low carb meal.
High fat. Just
high
you
fat,
actually you actually boil your cauliflower, do you? Because I personally I used to, but now I kind of fry it in the fry pan. You actually boil it. Okay, great.
I do both really.
Okay.
It depends really.
Great.
Yeah. I do both.
Absolutely.
I like to mix it up so it looks different as well.
we have one more, but before we go there, let's talk about fats. Let's talk about fats because I think this is one of the reasons why a lot of people kind of run away from a keto because they think fat. Talk us through, how did you have to get your mind around this idea of eating more fat, especially taking your heritage into consideration?
So for me, I think what kind of got my mind into almost accepting that I need to consume more fat was for example, using something called MCT oil. It's a fat that comes from coconuts. And it's the idea that with fats, fat doesn't equal the quantity that you use. And I feel like sometimes people don't understand that or don't fully grasp that. So for example, like a spoonful of oil would not be the same as a spoonful of protein or whatever it is. Fats you can increase your fat very easily by adding a few small things. And once you start actually adding those higher fats, and for example, if you're testing your ketosis level with keto strips and you start seeing that your body's actually going into ketosis, it kind of spurs you on as well. Another thing I would say as well that kind of got me into the mindset that I need to be on keto and I need to be eating more fats is when I actually went through keto flu, and we'll probably cover keto flu as well in a bit. I realized just how addicted my body was to carbohydrates. Because during the keto flu stage, you literally feel like you're looking for sugar in any way that you possibly can. You're willing to like just take a spoonful of sugar and eat that just to get that high that you get from carbohydrates and sugar. And once I realized that my body is addicted to sugar, I couldn't allow myself to be addicted to sugar again, because that going through that process just made me think, no, this is not for me. It's not good for me. I don't feel good on like thinking about how much sugar I want to go and consume. So for me, having experienced that and then realizing, okay, in order for me to actually eat and feel full, I've got to up my fats, and I started up my fats with MCT oil, mayonnaise, butter, or whatever it was. And these are all things that I like to eat anyway. I like creams, I like cheese, so all those type of things I was able to eat. It made it quite doable for me because I was eating food and I wasn't feeling starved and I wasn't feeling hungry after I ate. Like I'm eating something, I'm eating an omelette with cheese and feeling full and not feeling like I need to eat something or feeling like I've starved my body of anything. So that's how I've got myself around consuming more fat on the keto diet.
You know, it's amazing that people fear fat, and I used to fear fat to a certain extent. I mean, I wouldn't even eat an avocado, to be honest with you, for that reason. But you begin to realize there are only certain fats you should fear: the polyunsaturated fats, the vegetable oils. These are the fats.
Yeah.
And what most people don't understand is our bodies run better on fat than they do on carbohydrates. In fact, our body can only store about 2,000 grams worth of calories based on carbohydrates and glucose, but it can actually store 40,000 in fat. That means you can run longer for faster and not feel hungry. This is the way I simply let people know is if you look at protein, in protein you have essential amino acids. In fat, you have essential fatty acids. But in carbohydrates, there is nothing essential. In fact, your body does not need carbohydrates. And, you know, people are often very surprised with that. Your body doesn't need carbohydrates. And the glucose that your brain does need to survive can be made from the ketones from your liver. In fact, ketones are a better fuel than carbohydrates. So just allowing people to understand that they don't need to pack up their plate with rice and the dumplings to get the carbs, to get the glucose. And they mustn't fear fat. And MCT oil, medium chain tricyclic oil, is fantastic. I use that every morning in my coffee. It's great. And it's great that you got over that fear of fat. How did ketosis, or let's say the keto flu, first affect you? Because let's just talk about that, because a lot of people are put off because they think it's a long-lasting thing. But how did it affect you, and how long did it last?
So my keto flu lasted about 2 weeks, I would say, and it was difficult. It was a real challenge. I had headaches. I was extremely fatigued. I wouldn't eat. I couldn't sleep at times. But when I was going through the keto flu, as I mentioned before, it wasn't that I felt like I necessarily needed to quit. It was more I felt like I was going through rehabilitation of carbohydrates because my body was so used to it. So I actually felt like, wow, because I've starved my body of something, it's now going through this whole process where it's almost fighting back. And I thought to myself, no, I can't actually have myself feeling like that anymore. So I'm just going to make it through the actual keto flu. But yeah, it lasted about 2 weeks. And I think the main thing for me was the fact that I was really tired and I couldn't sleep. And I'm someone who, when I started keto, the only kind of form of exercise I could do was walking. And I remember one occasion when I went for a walk and I was doing maybe like about a 5K walk a day. I got to about 3K and I had to come back home because I was just so tired. And by the time I got back home and I laid in my bed, I fell asleep for about a good 6-7 hours in my gym clothes on the bed, half one shoe off kind of thing. And that's when I my body is actually really going through the keto flu. But once you get past that keto flu, it's you feel so great afterwards. Like the way I feel now on keto, it's completely different to how I felt eating carbohydrates. Like that sluggishness you get after eating carbs, I don't get that at all.
So it was definitely worth it.
Out.
It was definitely worth 100%. You going through the fruit. And just to reaffirm that, because that does put a lot of people off going on the low carb diet.
Yeah.
And the reason why, and not everybody goes through the keto flu, but the reason why you go for that is because obviously your body's running on carbohydrates and glycogen. And when your body starts releasing the glycogen, your body releases water at the same time. And when you release that water, your body also loses potassium and sodium. And that's where you start getting a little bit dizzy. And even if you do suffer from that keto flu, all you have to do is possibly increase a little bit of salt in your food, and that will help. Yeah. So just for anybody watching this who's worried about the keto flu, not everybody suffers from it. Everybody suffers from varying degrees, but there are definitely ways you can minimize it so it lasts. It's not as severe, and it doesn't last for long. And as Christian just said, the process is definitely worth it because your body's going through an adaptation. And the way you feel afterwards, like you said, is just absolutely amazing. You know, you don't have that high-low, that sugar crash that a lot of people have throughout the day. Absolutely. I've got one or more of your meals to show you. But when you speak to people of African and Caribbean descent about keto and low carb, what is their initial reaction? What is their initial reaction?
The first question I normally get, because before I haven't posted like my picture or anything like that on my page, the first question I would get is, are you a guy or a girl? People always want to know that. Secondly, people want to know if I'm in the UK, but because of the food that I post, and I post my groceries as well. But another thing I get around like questions is, how do I what's the recipe, and how do I make it fit into the food that I would normally eat? So for example, like my lifestyle. So for me, because I say to everyone that I speak to about keto, I don't look at keto as a diet. It's just a lifestyle. It's just the way that I eat,
and that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. So the advice I give to them all the time is, don't look at it as a diet, look at it as a lifestyle. And with keto, one thing with keto as well that I always say to people is that you have to be committed within your mind to staying on the diet to see the impacts before you start it. Because it's not a diet that you can start half-hearted, and then let's say 3 days in you decide, I really want a slice of bread. Because if you've had high fats and then you've had a whole bunch of carbs, you're just going to gain weight. You can't do that. You have to be committed to the keto diet. So I always say to people, you have to be committed to it, and you have to have variety. So that's one thing I try to offer with my page, is giving them a variety of meals and different things that they can eat every single day. Because that's what I do. Everything I post is what I eat. Like I rarely eat the same thing twice because I get bored really
delicious food.
Easily.
Absolutely delicious food. I have to say it. I'm really, and you may have mentioned at the beginning, but you lost some weight doing keto. How much did you lose?
Right now, I'm down to, I think, like 35 pounds I've lost
35
so far on keto.
Pounds. Absolutely. That's phenomenal. I personally lost about 50 pounds. I'm actually just going to show you the audience, show the transformation that I went through using a keto diet. This is what this. Yeah, it wasn't very pretty in the beginning.
Well,
you know, I'm going to admit it wasn't, and it was the weight just dropped off. And what is more remarkable for me is my age. I was over 50. I was 53 years old, and normally people think, well, at that age, you know, it's going to be a little bit difficult, but the weight just dropped off. So if you're watching this and you're over the 50, then listen. Samantha just said, wow, yes, that's exactly what I felt, Samantha. If you're over 50 and you're watching this, this is a great way. And we're talking about weight loss here. And I just want to share, when I started, it was just weight loss, I have to say. But as I went on and I learned, this diet we're both on not only helped me lose 50 pounds, it reversed my prediabetes. It cured my sleep apnea. it stopped all my sugar cravings. It increased my energy and so much more. So for me, this diet is far more than a weight loss diet. It encompasses so much more. And I say this is a way to live your life, even irrespective whether or not. We'll go through where do you start in a moment, Samantha. I know that Christine, that's what's coming. Samantha, we'll just go for that. All right. So I have one more meal to show you. So let's see. Let's talk us through this meal here, and this one looks absolutely delicious. Go on. Talk us through this.
Oh, my donuts.
What? Come on, the donuts. There, I had to include the donut. Talk us through the donuts. Yeah.
So these keto donuts, there's a couple ways you can make them. You can make them with another thing I should probably mention with keto is the one challenge that I've had with keto is the fact that it contains a lot of nuts. So for example, these donuts used almond flour to make them. And one of my siblings has got a severe allergy with nuts, and so right now one of the things I'm working on is kind of getting an alternative way of using anything but nuts in it. But yeah, these donuts, they were used with almond flour, they were used with buttercream, cheese, cream cheese, xanthan gum as always to kind of give it that kind of bready feel, and a donut ring, a simple donut ring, and ethanol was my sweetener that I use of choice.
Yeah. Which one? What sweetener?
And so ethanol.
Erythritol. Okay. Good. Yeah. That's my favorite as well. I use stevia in my coffee.
That's my go-to.
Erythritol is I use it in all my baking too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I've tried to use stevia before my baking. It just doesn't give it the same taste. So,
it's not in baking. Yeah,
it's not great. It's not great. So yeah, this is my go-to. And then what I do is I'll bake the donuts on their own. And what you'll see is it has like some white icing sugar, erythritol as well.
Samantha's loving your food here. Samantha's definitely loving your food. She's coming up.
Thank you.
And Mr. P's coming up with donut anytime. They're loving your food. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you. And it's literally just using cacao mixed with some some cream and dipping it in and creating the marble effect and dipping it in. Yes. And this is one of the things where you'd eat it just know that you can have a donut whilst on a diet, on a healthy lifestyle. It's like one of the best things, but this is
and the thing is, we're not deprived. Yannick, I think it was Yannick just said she loves your page. Came back, so some great comments coming over, and this is the great thing about being on a. People think we're deprived. People think we're you have to go on this diet, but I have never eaten a boring meal. In fact, you were sharing a few of the meals you have eaten. I'm actually going to share just a few pictures of what I have eaten over the last 7 to 10 days. Just in one screen. Here's what I've eaten. So at the top right, you'll see this is a seafood paella. That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. At the top left, I should say, the top right, that was a carrot and orange cake. I mean, I actually had a piece just before the show, I've got to admit. Absolutely. There's carrot. And, just for the nut alternative, I've made it with coconut flour, because if you have a nut allergy, obviously you can't eat almond, but I've used coconut flour. And anyone listening, all you do is you mix it 2 to 1, because you just half it. So whatever you use in almond flour, use half in coconut flour. On the bottom
What's in the middle?
Oh, I'm going to tell you about that one. That was coming. The one down.
It's really good.
The one down at the bottom is some saltfish fritters. I had the last one. I know you've made some on your page as well, but those ones came out with a little bit of Scotch bonnet pepper. I mean, they're just to die for. The pizza is actually a Caribbean low carb pizza. So it's made. The base it's all made with curry, and it's a beautiful pizza. And the one in the middle is a strawberry cheesecake. And strawberry,
that's looking amazing.
Low carb.
That looks so good.
I felt a little bit artistic on the day. I felt a little bit artistic on the day. So, and it's important. That looks really good. It's important that we share, because it'll encourage people. Because I said people eat with their eyes and their mouth, and I want people to really understand that you can eat low carb and enjoy delicious food. And it will just completely transform, and the benefits people will gain from it it's just they just won't understand until they go on that, and just in your skin as well, the way it helps your skin, and that's great. I know there's a couple of you. Is it just you in black keep? Sorry, is it just you that manages Black People Keto, or are there other people involved?
Yeah, so Black People Keto, it's mine. I came up with it, but I've got a few people involved who are helping me because right now we've got an e-cookbook that's coming out very soon. So I've got some people helping us put that together. I say us, but I speak as like me and about 2-3 other people that helps with that. We've got meal plans we're working on, and a few other things that we've got in the pipeline of ideas of just things that people have really come to me about. Because that's one thing, as I mentioned before, that when I created the page, it was just to create a platform to kind of share ideas. But there's been so many different people reaching out to me about different things that they would like help with, and I'm just like looking for ways in which we can make keto accessible for these people and make it easy for these people, because as I mentioned, because in the UK there isn't that much of a market for keto. Well, there is, but not the way that it is in America. Like I've had like some American brands that have reached out to me with products, and it's like, well, they don't ship to the UK, so we can't really do much, so we almost have to survive on our own with keto. So currently looking for like different ways to kind of like do this, but also I have a day job that takes up most of my time. So trying to balance it into the job is the difficult part. So yeah, I need a team to help with that.
I totally get that, and hopefully, because you're in UK and you're passionate, hopefully there are some things we discussed that we may be able to do in the future, which would be great to do with that, because
definitely,
you know, there isn't the open market. What did I say? My aunt lost 100 pounds on keto. Samantha just said her aunt
that's
lost
amazing.
That's amazing, Samantha. At 100
like
pounds. That is absolutely, and people do lose that kind of weight on keto and low carb.
Yeah.
So for me, it's about education. This is what the show's about. Mm-hmm. It's about people watching this and seeing ordinary people who are eating a diet which is changing their lives. And it is about that education before we even go down the road of creating a market. And this is, as I said, what show's about and what your page is about. It's for people to understand that they don't have to eat the starched filled meals. So you know what I'm going to do? Part of the education so she's in her 50s. Wow, Samantha, that's wonderful. So Samantha said her aunt lost 100 pounds and she's in her 50s, so that's absolutely great.
Oh, wow.
Part of that education happens for me on a Wednesday. And I have a program which is called Lean Bites Live, and I just really focus on low carb and the Lean MindBody Method, because I also focus on sleep, and I focus on exercise, and I focus on mindset, which is an important part of keeping your glucose under control. We won't go into that now. But part of the education, I have something called Sugar Smash. I have something, and I'm going to just show you some of that what I do now. Let's go to that now. So part of that is something called Sugar Smash. And all I do is I show people what's in sugar, how much sugar is in certain foods. And I just have 3 Caribbean flavored food here just to show the audience exactly how much sugar. I won't ask you to guess how much, but I'm just going to so the first one is, I just allow them to understand that, you know, a banana, a bread and rice and pasta, it's all the same thing. It's all sugar. Fruit is fructose and the bread and the rice is glucose, but it's all a form of sugar in your body. So we all have to manage that sugar. So here is, and when you eat that, Mr. P loves this game. And when you eat that, it makes you fat. And that's the simple thing about it. When you eat refined, high carbohydrate foods, it makes you put on weight through insulin. But we won't go into that now. But let's just go through the three foods. This is the dumpling. Now, how many people eat 2 dumplings or 3 dumplings in a breakfast or dinner?
As a normal.
As normal.
Yeah.
And have no idea how much sugar. But let's just smash this on here and see exactly how much sugar. It's in teaspoons of sugar. Each teaspoon equals 4 grams. All right? Look at that. 22.5 teaspoons of sugar in 2 dumplings. That's flour.
It's actually crazy.
And imagine how many people add sugar to their dumplings as well to make them sugar dumplings. Yeah. So when you
I think that's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing. When people think of sugar, they often think of table sugar, of added sugar. Yeah. Yeah. So people be like, oh, I can do keto because I can just stop having tea with I could stop having sugar with my tea or stop having sugar in my cereal, not knowing that. And most of the time of a lot of foods, the sugar that's in the food isn't in the food for flavoring. Yeah. It's in there to make you addicted to that food. It's not for taste.
And that's what manufacturers do.
So people don't realise.
Samantha was shocked by the amount of sugar in them 2 dumplings. So I'll just go 1 more or 2 more. this is rice and peas. This is something people have. Well, on a Sunday at least, you know, I grew up with
Yeah.
it had to be rice and peas on a Sunday. All right. And this is an average plate of rice and peas. Let's just see how much sugar, teaspoons of sugar in this plate of rice and peas. Let's just smash it up and let's see how much sugar's inside there. All right. Let's have a look and see how. Look, that is 5 teaspoons of sugar. Now, take in consideration what it says at the bottom. At the bottom, it says the recommended amount of teaspoons for a woman daily is 6. A man, it's 9. So if you're eating that place of rice, you're eating 5 teaspoons. And on top of that, there could be dumplings with that and everything else. I actually make a low-carb version of cauliflower rice and peas. But that's for another day. But I just want to show people how much sugar is in rice and peas. Okay, now this is ackee and saltfish. This is a staple this year. I mean, this is nice. This is Yannick said, "Wow, shows why diabetes is such a problem." Absolutely, Yannick. And
it does, right? It does.
It really does, because our food is increasing our blood sugar, and we don't realize that. We really, really, really don't realize that it's our food, and we don't need medication to be able to reverse our diabetes. I'm going to say that or pre-diabetes, we need to just change our diet to the kind of diet myself and Christine are talking about. But let's smash this ackee and saltfish just to see how much sugar is inside there. And I think you're going to be surprised, because it's a lovely 1 teaspoon. Perfect. I mean, 1 teaspoon, that is definitely within a low-carb diet. So if you like ackee and saltfish, it's definitely something you can eat on a low-carb diet. I make it all the time, but not with the rice and peas. Yeah, here, look at this last one here. Look, this is cauliflower rice, just to show you the difference between cauliflower rice and rice and peas. So this is what myself and Christine eat often. Let's just, I was going to smash that up, but it didn't actually smash up there. It went somewhere else. But I can tell you it's 1 gram of carbohydrates. That's what's in that cauliflower rice. And that's why it's so beautiful. And the point of that is, let me turn the comments on, because they're coming in fast and furious. The point of that is so people understand that they can eat foods and not miss out on the taste. Let me move this in the middle. I'm going to put this right in the middle here, in case any comments come in. If you have any comments for Christine at the moment, just fire away and we'll see. We'll have Samantha likes that. All right. Any comments, please just fire them away here. And I think this is so important, what we're doing, Christine, and especially for the UK. As you said, for in America, it's commonplace, but in the UK, the low-carb movement is not as big. And then specifically, if you want to bring that down to the black community or the black and African Caribbean, it's practically non-existent. And the sad thing is, obesity and diabetes is rife. And I truly believe the way we live our life could be a definite cure to that. So that's why I'm on a mission to be able to share the knowledge around low carb.
And I think for me as well, I mentioned it earlier before, I think one of the biggest thing is that with a lot of those weight loss apps and Weight Watchers and Slimming World and all these different things that's available, they don't have foods that are adaptable for us. Like I could never send my mum to a Weight Watchers, like whatever, and get her onto that eating plan. But if I could show her, you can still have curry chicken and roti, but it will be in low carbs, and just give it to her and not even mention it, and she eats it and she enjoys it, then that's something that people can introduce into their everyday life.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think that's one of the big things for me, is the fact that we don't. A lot of weight loss is in this country, and the world really isn't really focused on our diets. So we've got to do it ourselves, right?
Absolutely. And Samantha talks about high cholesterol. You know, so I'm actually going to do a show on high cholesterol and the difference between HDL and LDL cholesterol, and why we shouldn't necessarily be as concerned about cholesterol as the media wants us to believe. But I need to go into some science for you to understand that. So possibly in another couple of weeks, I'll do that. Why you really need to look at cholesterol in a different light, because that is also one of the reasons why people don't want to go on a low carb diet, because in the initial stages it can, because you're eating the meat, protein, it can raise your cholesterol, your LDL cholesterol, but it's not a bad thing. But that shouldn't be something that you should be worried about. And you know what's great, Christy, is we don't have to tell them your age, but I know your age. And what is great is your age and the group, and that you are on this journey. you're on this journey
Yeah.
from a young
Yeah.
age. It's going to really are the people in your group around the same age?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I've got some people who are older than me, some people who are younger as well, but mainly
Okay.
older that are interested in keto. But for me, I think like it's one of those things where it's like when I've been on a weight loss journey for so long, like since I came out of college, I was probably like trying to lose weight and always kind of having that kind of yo-yo diet. And I think one thing as well that with me that I used to have is having the idea that if I had like a holiday or a birthday or some kind of celebration that I would aim towards,
Yes.
I always associated weight loss with exercise, and I didn't really connect it to my diet. And I feel like a
Yes.
lot of people don't really connect
Absolutely.
eating and
Yeah.
losing weight to their diet. But during this like lockdown and being at a point where I couldn't do a lot of exercise, you had to look at your diet. You have to look at
Yes.
what can you change in your diet. The thing that you do the most, which is eat. What can you change
Yeah.
in that can help? And for me, I think keto is probably the only diet I would say that allows you to basically eat the foods that you like, but just with a small change in the ingredients, and you don't lose the flavor as you say all the time.
Yeah.
You don't lose flavor, and that's the biggest
Absolutely.
thing.
We're going to come back to you in a moment. I'm just going to share with the people some things that's happened later in the week. But someone mentioned cortisol. I thought it said cholesterol because that's what people normally talk about. Cortisol is a stress hormone. But yeah, I did mention about cortisol, cholesterol.
Yeah.
But cortisol can also be a factor, and that's why I focus on sleep, because if you don't get enough sleep, it raises the cortisol level, which can then affect the amount of glucose that your body releases, which can then make it insulin resistant. So I suppose there are some interlinked in the diet. I'm going to come back to you in a moment, and I want to share with me your top 2 meals when I come back for you. Let me just share with some things that are happening later on inside the week. Now, I have a show called Make Health Your Habit on a Monday, and I'm okay. We'll go with that, Samantha. So I have a show on Monday called Make Health Your Habit. On Wednesday, I have a show called Lean Bites Live. That will be at 7 o'clock, and that focuses invariably on what myself and Christine are talking about, but it also extends not just to low carb nutrition, but it focuses on sleep. It focuses on, because just to go with what Samantha just said, because when you don't sleep, what happens, it can increase certain hormones. One of the hormones is cortisol, which does affect your blood glucose and does reflect your insulin level, can make you insulin resistant. So cortisol is definitely a hormone that we need to bring in consideration. So again, I appreciate Samantha mentioning that, and Samantha tuning for that. And I focus on exercise because I know Christian just mentioned exercise, because again, even though exercise is not an imperative to lose weight, as Christian just mentioned, it is great all-round panacea to make you healthy. And the most important thing outside of nutrition, in fact, it's even more important than nutrition, is your mindset. If you don't change your mindset, you can't change your diet. So that's what you focus on: nutrition, sleep, exercise, and mindset. That will be 7 o'clock on Wednesday. I just want to share with you about a brotherhood program. I have this program here. This is aimed at men only, and it's a group coaching program. It was going to start in January, but I've decided to move it to November, but I've decided to move it to January the 2nd. If you go to my website, you will see information about the Lean Brotherhood program, and there's actually an early bird price there in which you can register for that program, which started in January. So go to the website. And I know we're talking a lot about low carb. I have a book called the L.E.A.N MindBody Method, which I've written, and it's all about my experiences and all about the 4 areas I've just spoken about. Again, if you go to the website and you wanted to learn a little bit more about the low carb, eating low carb, exercise, sleep, and mindset, you can go to my website, L.E.A.N MindBodyCoach.com, and purchase the book. And I know we're definitely talking about food, and when Christine has her book come out, we'll definitely bring that back. We'll feature that. But if you wanted to try some low carb, I just want to try. Let me see if this food is as nice as it gets. Go to my website, L.E.A.N MindBodyCoach.com, and just register for my mailing list. And when you register, you will automatically get this 5-day low carb meal plan in your inbox. It contains 5 days of low carb meals, including a dessert, and it includes my jerk sauce recipe. I actually have some jerk sauce ribs, some lamb jerk sauce ribs in the oven. I just cooked today. And don't ask for none. Don't, no, they're just for me. But using that jerk sauce is absolutely wonderful. It's in that book. So go to my website, just register on the mailing list, and you will get that 5-day meal plan on my website. And the last thing I want to share with you is this. I'm so pleased that I'm opening this back up this week. It's Tribe Weight Loss Made Simple. It's my community. It's a fantastic. I closed it off, but now it will be open up again on Wednesday with a 14-day free trial. You can try it free for 14 days. It has recipes. It has everything that I deal with. It is absolutely a phenomenal community, which I'm looking to build online. It will be opened up again on Wednesday. You can go to www.leanlifestyletribe.com. You can go there now and have a look at it. But come back on Wednesday and you can register on this website free of charge. 14 days. There's a Leaner You program where I take you through learn about low carb and everything else for 14 days. And if you want to join, you join. If you want to stay, you want to stay. If you want to go, you want to go. Hopefully you'll stay because you'll realize the benefits that you receive. So go to www.leanlifestyle.com and join Tribe free for 14 days, but only from Wednesday, where I'm only opening it back up from Wednesday. So that is enough of the adverts for now. I just wanted to share with you what I'm doing, because my mission is the same as Christine's, and I think we're going to be doing some stuff together in the future. And it's just about sharing the mission or the passion we have about this diet, and allowing people of African and Caribbean descent to say, listen, look, stay away from the starches. You don't need the starch to fill up your plate. What is your 2 favorite meals? Tell me, what would you say your 2 favorite meals are? Here we go. I know there's so many. There's so many. What are your 2 favorite meals?
Probably a keto fried rice.
Can I just say quickly, if anyone has any questions for Christine at this point, if anyone has any questions, just put it in the chat here and we'll answer them in this last 5 minutes or so. Go ahead. The keto. Yeah, I saw that keto fried. It looked lovely.
Keto fried rice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I love that. That fills me up so much, and it's quick and easy. And I would say, my macaroni and cheese. Ooh. And I say macaroni and cheese, not really macaroni and cheese. It's cauliflower macaroni and cheese. Yeah. I'll say those 2 are my favorite meals. I can eat those for days.
And your favorite dessert? What's your favorite low carb dessert? Would you say?
Oh, this is difficult. I made a red velvet cake yesterday, the other day, and that's becoming one of my faves. I think it's a red velvet cake right now. Before it used to be a chocolate brownie, but now it's a red velvet
chocolate brownie. Cake. I mean, that's the chocolate brownie is absolutely delicious. I love that. I absolutely love that. Okay, so Dunstan said, please see my question posted at 7-9. Dunstan, please just repeat that question for us, please. Yeah, just repeat that question as we can, and we'll answer that and we'll come. Christine, how do you maintain your keto diet when you go out to eat? That's a great question, Samantha. How do you do that?
That's a really good question. Normally when I go out to eat, if I know where I'm going to eat before, I'll look at the menu, and if there's chips or there's bread or whatever is included, I'll just ask them to replace it. Like for example, if I'm going to get a burger, instead of having the bread, I ask them to give me an extra patty and smile and hopefully get it for the same price. Who knows? replace the chips with like salad, or if they've got avocado. A lot of restaurants I have stuff like avocado nowadays.
Yes,
I'll have that. I actually don't find it that difficult. I thought I would.
I agree,
but I actually don't find it that difficult to have. And sometimes the only thing I will say though is sometimes in one meal you could probably eat half of your carb allowance for a day, and which is fine as long as you stay over the day within your carb tolerance, your carb total. You're fine. So for me, it doesn't. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. I think that probably the biggest challenge for me when it comes to the keto diet is going to my mum's house and seeing the food that she has.
That's
the only challenge.
She ain't holding back. She's not hiding anything, you know.
But the one good thing though, they've accepted my lifestyle now. So when I come there, they don't give me rice. They'll give me my bowl of vegetables and stew or whatever it is. So they've adapted to me now. So
absolutely. I mean, I always like to replace when I'm out with some salad, with some leafy green vegetables, because leafy green vegetables, even though they do contain carbs, they're very, very, very low carb. So you can take with broccoli and X, Y, Z. So you can always do that. Let's say so. Temptation City, yes, Samantha. So Duncan said, all I heard to date about keto relates to weight loss. If one is lean and reasonably healthy, what role could keto play? I mean, I have an answer for that, but I'll allow you to answer that first.
Yeah, for me, because I work out probably every day. Actually, I have one rest day every 2 weeks, and for me, what I found that keto allows me to do is when I do go and exercise, I don't need to allow 3-4 hours of after eating carbs because I feel stodgy or I feel tired. I'm able to eat the keto meals that I have, and I feel like my system actually works better, because I get things done like colonics. I don't want to probably go into too much details around that, but like the keto meal for me,
I've had a few myself.
Keto diet really helps that.
I've had a few.
The keto diet really helps me. It's really good, right? It helps me kind of stay to a position where I can train really, really heavy, and like I said, I train daily. Like after this, I'm probably gonna go on my spin bike and do like some skipping and stuff like that. It doesn't. I don't feel weighty like I used to do when it comes to carbs. Like, as soon as you have carbs, you feel like you're carrying a ton of weight, but it gives me energy and I don't feel tired. So
absolutely. Dante, that's a great question. Let me answer that. I mean, the keto low carb diet is far more than weight loss. First of all, I did a session recently about visceral fat, and there are people who are slim like you, and I know you personally. I know you're quite slim, but just because you're slim, it doesn't mean you don't have a lot of visceral fat around your body. A low carb diet will reduce that. There are people who are slim who are insulin resistant, who suffer from diabetes. Again, a low carb diet can help with that. If you have a sugar craving, a low carb diet can help you with that. When it comes to what's called the carb crash, whereby people have these spikes in energy and then the drop in energy, a keto diet can help you that. You will avoid lean, not slim. Okay. You will avoid, I hear you. I know you're a runner. Okay, I get that. And a low carb diet will avoid you having those high spikes of energy and then a low, so it will keep it on an even keel. And a low carb diet will also, as Christian just alluded to, allow you to be able to eat less for longer, so you don't have to eat so often. So there are so many, and I'll be honest with you, there are so many studies that are talking about a low carb and keto diet curing cancer. And can I just, because as you are a female on this, what's been your research around PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome, and a keto diet? What's been your experience or your leaning to learning around that? If you can share that with us, please.
So for me, I haven't done too much into that, but one thing I can share is that for me personally, one of the biggest things that I've had, and I've realized that I've had to change my diet to adapt to, is being a female that has a particular shape, that you can't do certain things, for example, in terms of exercise, in terms of whatever it is, and you have to find a way to get around it. Now, when I was at my heaviest, one of the worst things that I had was really, really extreme back pain. I used to get back spasms because of the sheer weight that I was carrying on my chest. So actually, I'd say it was probably like 4 or 5 days into the keto diet that my back pain started to go dramatically. And I think it's because I wasn't having so much heavily carb-based foods that my body just instantly started to react, and I could feel the benefit of it. So for me, that's the main impact that I've had, is that I've lost weight in the areas that any woman that's watching this will know that trying to like train and trying to do certain things, it's difficult when you're trying to already big and trying to jump with all that weight on you. It's like, keto helps get that off, so you can
Yeah.
actually train properly.
But from a female perspective, there are two things. As I said, the PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome, and a keto low carb diet has been shown to be able to reduce that and help that, and especially when you're losing weight. And secondly, when a woman reaches a menopause, her body changes, the way her body metabolizes carbs. And this is why a lot of people, when they're in the menopause, especially coming out of the menopause, they realize their weight increases. A low carb diet can help you with that. Yeah. Absolutely, it can definitely help you with that. So they're just two things. As you are a female on the show, I wanted to share that, you know, that specifically for females, that a low carb diet can definitely help with. So, Christine, I mean, it's been absolutely wonderful having you on the show and
Thank
sharing.
Thank you for having me.
And hearing your passion, because as you can tell, I'm incredibly passionate. It's the first time I've spoken with someone from the UK who is as passionate about this low carb, and we are going to wake some people up. We are going to wake some people up over the next coming years. We are definitely going to wake. We're going to do some things. 100%. We're going to talk some more. But if people wanted to get hold of you to see a little bit about what you're about, where would they go? Where would they go?
So you can find me on my Instagram page, Black People Keto. You can message me. I try to reply to my messages like straight away. I'm here to help answer any questions, give advice, whatever it is. Get in contact with me. And yeah, I'm available. And look out for the recipe in the cookbook, really.
Yeah. So Samantha said she really enjoyed the show. Samantha, we really enjoyed your contribution today.
Thank you.
Really did. We really enjoyed your contribution today. And obviously, I think you said I don't know if you said you're one of you. I think you said you're a therapist, but definitely tune in on Wednesday. We'll go a little bit deeper. So all they have to go is to Black People Keto. Do you have a Facebook page, or are you on Facebook?
I do have a Facebook page, but I'm more active on Instagram. With Instagram, you'll get me like within a minute.
Okay.
I'll see my messages come through on Instagram. That's where the main messages are.
You did reply to me quite quickly. And in the future, you have a book. You have your book on Amazon coming out, and you're going to do some meal plans and possibly some coaching that you want to do.
Yes, definitely.
Great.
Yes, definitely. It's trying to balance it with the day job. That's the challenge right now. It's like the day job is in the way.
Yeah.
So
great.
So,
great to connect with you, Samantha. Definitely. I mean, Samantha just said she's a therapist, so I'm not sure what kind of therapist she is, but it must be around stress and that. So she mentioned that, and funny enough, I'm actually going to do a show on stress in the next couple of weeks. So absolutely wonderful. Look, to you and your team, we appreciate you. And, you know, I appreciate you coming on the show. I appreciate your team, you know, a team, because it does take a team to be able to do that. And I know you said that you have a team around you, and you guys work great. And, you know, I love your energy. I love your enthusiasm. And I think you're going to do it extremely well. When your book comes out, and then come back, we'll have another conversation. 100%. And I think what we may do, we'll bring some people on who have benefited, you know, a couple of people that have benefited from that. See some real life experiences, because, you know, I truly believe in 30 days of changing your diet, you will be amazed how you will feel and you will change on a low carb diet. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the show tonight. Next week, we have a gentleman called Mark. I don't know if you know the Gatti teas, but teas have a history of healing. And we're going to have a gentleman here who's got a line of teas in the supermarkets that have healing properties. So check us out next week. Go to the website, the L.E.A.N MindBody Coach.com, register on the mailing list, get the 5-day meal plan, and you'll be updated about every time we do a new show. But listen, if you be safe. You know, if you're in the UK, I hope the lockdown's not affecting you too much. And one thing that happened in the last lockdown, people use food as a comfort. Possibly, why don't you give yourself a challenge over the next 3 weeks and try and do some of what Christian just said. Reduce your sugar. And if you go onto my YouTube channel, on my last Lean Bite show, I spoke about a kind of challenge that you could do. So just go onto the YouTube and you'll see the Lean Bites from Wednesday, and I spoke about challenge, but which can incorporate a lot of what Christine just spoke about. Why don't you try it over the lockdown? See how you get on to reduce your carb. What do you think? A good idea, Christine? That's a good idea.
100%.
Why not
All
over
it takes
lockdown?
is one lockdown.
One lockdown
you'll sort your life out.
to change your life and come out. Listen, Christine. Listen, Christine. Absolutely phenomenal. Great show. Love your energy. We'll have a conversation, and it's just wonderful to share a low carb experience. But as I like to say to all of you, every single week, listen, of all the habits that you can make or develop, the best habit you can do is to make health your habit. I'll see you.